Okay, I want to briefly talk about constructing graphs and why they become so confusing to construct. What's nice about having technology, though, it allows me to construct graphs without doing too much work. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'll open up an application called Grapher, and I'm going to say default 2D graph. And what I want to do is I want to type in this thing over here. And what's that going to be? It's a square root, SQRT. Oh, by the way, if you want, you can use a palette. And the palette's going to look like, let me just pull this up for you. I'm looking for the square root. That's the square root. And again, what's going to be 100. And this is fine, by the way, plus the square root. You can use the palette. I'm going to say x. And the reason I'm just saying x is some number. I know it's an integer, but that doesn't matter. I'm going to graph it out. So plus, and there can be another square root. I'm going to go back to the palette. And it's 100 minus the square root of x. Now someone says, what just happened? Well, to be honest with you, I don't see anything. So what I want to do is I want to kind of just look at the axis grid and get rid of the, I'm going to get rid of the grid and the frame. And I'll say, okay. I still don't see it. So what I want to do is I want to start to zoom out. I'm not seeing anything. Now I'm seeing something. Right, and it looks like a straight line to me. Keep zooming out, by the way. And it looks like straight line, straight line. I'm going to use this tool over here and kind of narrow it down to this thing over here. I'm going to still zoom out, though. Oops, I'm seeing something now. And somebody see, I think I'm seeing that complete picture at this point over here. Now I'm looking at this over here, and again, I'm looking at this thing and I'm wondering, can I make it look a little better than it is now? But what I'm noticing is it looks like it's, starting at 0, which makes sense to me, by the way, because the x would have to be greater than or equal to 0. And the other thing it would have to be is less than 10,000, all right? And why do I know that? I got this 100 minus the square root of 10,000. You get the idea that this, it would when it exceeds the 10,000, it'll be a negative number. So let me just kind of zoom into this region over here. All right, so I'm seeing something better and better. I'm going to keep zooming into that, the region I want. I want this region over here. Now, one thing I recognize, and this going back to the problem that we did in the problem set, was I'm noticing these numbers over here, which is really what I'm looking for, is the integer numbers. And what are the integers that could be? I'm going to change the scale a little bit. And what I want to do is I want to talk about the ordinate. I'm going to edit the ordinate, and I want to make these things units of 1, nothing in between, by the way. I'll do that. All right, so I'm seeing that. And again, I'm looking at this thing in 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then the numbers on the bottom, kind of crazy looking numbers, but you could do that. And so, certainly I was saying over here is that we did find solutions to the problem, by the way. Now, someone says, well, could 20 be a possibility? And the answer is no, because that would correspond to a 0. All right, you couldn't do that. All right. And then we tried 19. We realized 19 wasn't working out. 19 wouldn't produce an integer. And by the way, you can check that if you want. 18 did produce an integer. 17 produced no integer. 16 produced an integer. 15 no integer. And 14 is not even in the picture, by the way. So I want to go over here and I want to just point out that I graphed some other things over here. And so what'd you graph out? Well, what I graphed out was another set of lines. Let me go through that with you. So one thing I did is said that y was 18. So I see that. I also went on to say y could have been 16. All right, I'll put this over here. And I claimed that these would produce integers, and the question is what integer to produce. Let's go back over here, a new equation. The integer it produces was x equals 6156. We actually went through this before, by the way. Whoops, made a mistake there. I got to correct it. Someone's had a mistake. I see a little, like something happened there. It's x equals. I'm seeing that. Again, visually, it looks like a perfect match, by the way. And new equation, and let's type in x equals this time. X equals what? 9216. Okay, I'm seeing that as well, by the way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select those lines, and I'm going to change their appearance by clicking the inspector, and I want to make them dash lines. I'm going to make them dashed. All right, if you want to change your color, you can. And again, you might want to say, I want to change the characters of this thing by color. Well, hit inspector again, hit this over here, and whatever color you want, doesn't really much matter. Just over here. Let me close it out. I want to point out I was able to visually give myself some support over here. And what's that support going to be? Well, we've talked about the range of numbers it could be, and they had to be even numbers, by the way, 18 and 16. We actually went through the solution, by the way, and we actually computed these numbers. Through algebra, we did compute those things. But again, visually, this looks exactly what we're expecting to see, by the way, exactly. Now, is that graph provided to you? Yes. How'd I do that graph? Really the same way, by the way. I did it the same exact way. All right, thank you.